went out over all the land of Egypt. Now listen, everybody. Joseph slept in the prison that night. That same night, Pharaoh called for him. He came for Pharaoh. Pharaoh looked at him that same night. He said, I am setting you over all the land of Egypt. You are going to be the ruler. Without you, no man lift up his hand or feet. By your word shall my people be ruled. Only on the throne shall I be greater than thou. He removed the ring of authority from his hand and put it in the hand of Joseph. He removed his garment upon him. That is the... It will have been a night. They ask him, look, why is it even the present president that is there, is it not me who put him there? And nobody could say no. So everybody saw that he has labored for it. Even those people that were against him, people came, everybody saw his hand there. Even if he is not him, it would have been an injustice for them not to pick him. That's natural harvest. He labored for it. Now, that they now come now and bring innocent. And they said, you are local. And they said, what did he do that can make it to be local? Nothing. He has never, they just came from the blues and just carry him and say, you are the next president. Without anything that he has done at all. Without any, not that they said, okay, we need a president. Let's look at the qualification. Somebody that finished from Harvard. Somebody that finished from Oxford. Somebody that did this. Somebody that did that. Somebody that has a connection with United Nations. Somebody that did it. Somebody that, okay, is the best. This man is qualified. He has been this. He has been that. That would be natural harvest. He labored for it. But look at the case of Joseph. The only thing we can say he did was to interpret dream. Everything that could qualify a man to become president was not there. Not a citizen. He's still in jail. No election. Any condition, there was none that he satisfied all of them. And they just, even if we are going to choose a president, there are processes. He could have even been presented before National Assembly. Let them look at his resume and look at what qualifies him so that he will not get there and disappoint us. It's like I saw Pastor Ariyebi coming. Oh, please bring him here. Where? Let the wife sit down there. Sit down. They are Maoga now. Oh yeah. Simple. If they ask Judah or Simeon, how did your brother become prime minister in Egypt? All they can say, God. If they call Joseph himself, how did you get there to become prime minister? What will Joseph say? God. Now listen. In natural harvest, you receive it with the effort and the labors you put in. Is that clear? Come on, answer me. Is that clear? That's natural harvest. If they have picked Joseph there and returned him back to his father, it will be natural harvest because it tallies with what he requested for. Make mention of me to Pharaoh. Let him pick me out of this place and return me home. But the dimension of supernatural harvest came that when they remove him from that with his effort, and they said, the effort you put in, than the seed you sow. And that's what makes supernatural harvest. Supernatural harvest. That was why I said, for demonic harvest, corrupt seeds were sown that generated the harvest. For natural harvest. Let me say this, and then we want to pray. In 2 Samuel chapter 9, if you look at it from verses 1 down, was supernatural harvest. All that Mephibosheth was doing in Lodebar was to be begging for alms. The expectation of Mephibosheth was that even if any man would want to favor him, even if David wanted to help him, David should have looked for Mephibosheth and said, okay, you are Mephibosheth, say, yeah, okay, you are at Lodebar. Okay, take so amount of money and be using it to feed. Or take so amount of money and go and rent a house. That's what David should have done for him. But they went to Lodebar where he was begging for alms, located him and brought him out. And David said, you are going to be my vice. He said, you shall be with me on the throne. And Mephibosheth, that lame boy and that beggar, became vice president. That's supernatural harvest. Because if you have Mephibosheth, what did he do? There was nothing he did. He didn't even know David. There was no application. For Joseph, he even placed a demand on the chief butler to make mention of him to Pharaoh. Mephibosheth did not place any demand on anybody to mention him to the king. All of a sudden, the king went to bed and couldn't sleep. And then he rose up. Is there anybody from the house of Jonathan that I can show kindness to? No, so Mephibosheth go there. Mephibosheth did not sow any seed. He didn't make any effort. And then harvest that made him number one in the whole nation upon the entire universe came to him. Supernatural harvest. You know, that was the same experience of Mordecai in Esther chapter 6. Supernatural harvest. Finally, I hope you also understand that that was the same experience of the children of Israel in 2 Kings chapter 7 in the days of Elisha. There had been famine in the land for 3.5 years. There was no food to eat. People were donating their children to eat. They went to bed in hunger. They woke up the following morning to see all the food of this universe at the gate of their city. That a bag of rice was sold for a shekel. The bag of rice that was not available for 3.5 years. If you read that 2 King very well, how did that surplus, that plenty came? Like I told you, for supernatural harvest, it is God that sowed the seed that men harvest. How did the surplus and the plenty came to Israel in one night? Bible said God made the Syrians to hear a noise. 2 King chapter 3 verse 8. 2 King chapter 7 rather. 2 King chapter 7 verse 8. Put it for me on the screen. 2 King chapter 7. Give me verse 7. 2 Kings 7, 7. Give me verse 6. For the Lord had made the host of the Syrians to hear a noise. So the Syrians that laid siege over Israel, and they came with the array of clothes and food and shoes and money, and laid siege at the gate of Samaria for 3.5 years. God made them in one night to hear a noise, and by that noise they fled, and they left the food and the clothes and the money that they piled at the gate of Samaria. And the Samaritans woke up the following morning to see food that is in abundance at the gate of Samaria. How did it happen? It was not an effort of the children of Israel. The Lord made the Syrians to hear a noise. So it was God that sowed the seed, that the Samaritans reaped the harvest of it. What was the summary this morning? Listen, everybody. There are pleasant experiences that happen to a man in life that only have explanation in God alone. There are pleasant experiences that happen to a man in life that have explanation in God alone. Explanation in God at work in a man's life. Explanation in the reality of divine intervention. Explanation in the remembrance of God for a man. Supernatural harvest. Now listen, everybody. The bottom line and the central core of Christianity is the reality of supernatural harvest in the adventures of life. You must come to a point in life where you have certain experiences that you can say it is only God, that there is nothing I contributed into it. And listen to me. God is still in the business of opening the door of supernatural harvest for men today. God is still in the business of doing things that men will experience and say it can only be God. God is still doing it. That we make the reality of God to be down upon a man's life. Listen, if in life it is only all that you labor for, that you sweat over, that you are qualified for, that you have access to in life, the God factor will not be real in your life. You must come to a realm in life where you have certain experiences that are above you. And God is still in that business up to today. You know, those of you that I have shared this experience with you times over and over again. I have shared together with you times over and over. And these things are real. On Tuesday, this coming Tuesday in our convention. I explained to you. On Tuesday, the coming Tuesday in our convention, on Tuesday, this coming Tuesday, we shall be having the Abayomi Oduwole Memorial Leadership Lecture at 10 o'clock. The theme of the lecture on Tuesday is Leadership, the Greatest Challenge of Humanity. Our guest lecturer will be Professor Abayomi Adebayo, the Professor Emeritus, Economics Department, Obafemi Awolowo University Ife. He's a lecturer on Tuesday. Now, the keynote address is going to be delivered by Honorable Justice Sunday Idowu Olondaosi of the High Court, Akure in Ondo State. I have told you, share the testimony with you several times of the experience of that chap. He's going to be with us on Tuesday. I'm showing you the reality of supernatural harvest in life. When this church began 29 years ago, my first deputy was the elder brother of this judge. I did first degree in Ife. That guy did master's in University of Port Harcourt. He has first class and had federal government scholarship for his master's and PhD. He did master's and had the best result, and then came to Lagos and then stood by me. He was carrying my Bible and following me everywhere I was going. When the ministry started, he was my deputy. I begged him to go and finish his PhD. He said no, that God convinced him to be in ministry and I should be following me. When our ministry started some years ago, we were very poor. Nobody sponsored and nobody helped us. So we were struggling. So I was living in a room and parlor self-contained, and he was staying with me. The two of us were not married. We go to church together, very committed and very dedicated. This judge was his younger brother. Finished from University of Benin and read law. And came and was staying with us. He was our first usher. After about a year, he had no job. He decided to return back to University of Benin to do masters, LLM. When he finished the LLM, he came. We pray and pray and pray. And then God opened a door and he got the job as a junior magistrate in Ondo State. So he went to Akure and became a magistrate in Akure. He did the magistrate. I'm talking to you about supernatural harvest. Pleasant experiences that the only explanation is it is God. That's supernatural harvest. I think 1 year or the second year of his magistrate, he left Akure and ran to me Lagos. He says, I saw a wonder. I said, what is it? He gave me a letter. I read the letter. The letter was inviting him to Abuja as an interview as the deputy registrar of the Supreme Court in Abuja. I said, what is it? He said, sir, to be a registrar in the Supreme Court, I have to do this job for not less than 6 to 9 years. He said, because when I leave that place, I'm coming to become a High Court judge. He said, I've just started. I'm just a junior magistrate 1 year. He said, no, but I'm not qualified. He said, number 2, I didn't apply. Number 3, I didn't know anybody since I was born there that could help me. I didn't know how this letter came. I read the letter. He said, I'm suspecting a scam. Maybe somebody. So